Hello, 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 everyone. Good to see you. I did not advertise. I just jumped on. We're waiting on Sprinkle Donut to come on over with us. She's going to join us tonight. We're going to talk for a few minutes. And it's about our children that are the, I'm sorry, you have to understand there's fireworks going on around us. And so my dogs are hearing noises outside that I don't hear. Anyway, so they might bark a little bit. I'm doing my best to control them. But anyway, we're going to talk about the cider kids and the misinformation that has already started. And it makes me so sad. So I'm going to wait for Sprinkle to come on. We'll just talk for a minute here while she pops in so we can do our little show over here. I think what I'm hearing outside are those Roman candles. You can hear that noise coming. And I think the dogs are hearing that, and that is what they are barking at, even though we don't see anything. I think they can hear it. So we've got one laying down and the other one ran over to her daddy. All right, there you go. So let's keep going over here. Let's start talking about this case. It is really sad, the whole case. Let me get back over to my start. And we're waiting on Sprinkle Donut to come on up. I'm sure she's getting her headphones together and all that. Let me see if I can show y'all this. Hang on a second. Don't know if I can add it, but I'm going to try to add it. Let's see if it'll let me add this right here. Add the spire. Hang on. Let me see if it'll open here. Let me put it on here. It might not. Oops, let's see. Well, add the file. Files. Let me see if I can do this. It might let me add this one. Hold on just a second, guys. Let's see if we can put this over here. Oh, I think it is going to add it. Okay, good. Here we go. So this is really our show today. Stop. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. My dog's getting upset about some noise. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I know people are doing fireworks. I get it. But I need to do this now. But anyway, just wait on Sprinkle Donut to come on in. But this is our story tonight. We're going to be talking about the misinformation train that's already started with these babies. And here's the thing. I really do think that they need to be protected. I do. It is a tragedy. There's so much more to the story that's being told. I learned a bunch of things this afternoon that I have not heard. You may have heard it. I have not heard it, but I found it. There's a lot of things on TikTok that are just not exactly the truth. And so we're going to talk about that as well. And before we get started, let's go ahead and say this. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to cover the cider children tragedy, and more importantly, the misinformation that's already rolling in at full speed. Every single case this happens. It breaks, something comes out, then the misinformation starts immediately. I don't know why it happens, but it does. But there's no reason for it, right? There's no reason for it. We know what's fact and we know what's rumor. We already know this. So anyway, that is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and give my fair use disclosure and get that done. This live stream contains commentary, criticism, analysis, and educational discussions protected under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, which is fair use. All individuals discussed are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Any statements made tonight are based on publicly available information, news reports, and my commentary. The show does not assert guilt, does not present allegations as fact, and does not encourage harassment of any parties involved. All content is for public interest, awareness, and educational discussion only. All right, there it is. That is our fair use discussion. Now, let's go ahead and get back onto who are the cider children. What is the basic timeline here? What confirmed? There she is. There she is. All right, there's our Sprinkle Donut.
Hey, as I was here that I didn't think you were coming on, so I left.
Hang on, I got this door over here. All right. Yeah, the dogs are hearing these. They're hearing those Roman candles. You know how it makes that spewing
Oh
noise.
yeah.
Every time they hear one, they're getting upset and they start barking a little bit. I just gave them
Yeah.
their little calm down pills. Well, they're not pills; they're little CBD chews or CBD chews. I just gave them those so they could start calming down because I know it's hard on them.
Yeah.
It's fireworks. So anyway, we were getting back. I just read my fair use disclosure so we could get onto this and talk about it. and talk about the misinformation that's already started. And it's every single case, every single time it starts. And I don't understand why. Why? Why can't we just only tell the facts and let that be that? Why do we need to tell any kind of rumors, right? I, yeah. Um, there is a story where, and this is for Fugitive TV, which I'm talking to him a little bit. He has found information. I'm going to share his channel. We're going to drop his channel, and I'm going to show you what he's put out today. I really like this guy, and if you've not had a chance to go check his channel out, I wish you would. Let me pull up YouTube so I can show you what I'm talking about. I like him. He knows a lot about what he's talking about. He's been there. He is the guy that was on the run for a long time and all that. I like his content, so I just do. So let me get this pulled up. It's called Fugitive TV. Let me get him pulled up, and we'll share his channel, and I'll let him talk for just a minute while we go about this, because he is talking about where it's possibly 21 kids, that everybody is wrong. There's more kids than we're actually talked about, and some of this information actually came from, I think, Facebook, and this is what made me start questioning this. I'm not accusing him of get false information. I'm not at all. I just want to get to the facts and make sure that let him tell us where he's getting this from. So let me drop his channel. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I did hear that there was some twins that she lost, so maybe she's counting those.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is. So let me put this over here and make this big and give full credit. Ooh, not that way. Full credit to Fugitive TV. Is it Fugitive TV? Yes, it's Fugitive TV. So here we go. Let's credit Fugitive TV. All right, hang on. I think my oh good, my shift key is going to work today. How about that? Great, love it when it works.
Yeah, you.
Right?
Yeah, you.
Because sometimes it doesn't. Let me
Get
just
us for small favors.
Yeah, today I needed one. All right, here we go. Let me paste this little right there. Now this is his channel link right there. Okay, so we're all there. Now I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can see this, and we'll get going. I forgot to share the screen. What a silly Willie, right? Anyway, so here we go. This is Fugitive TV, and again, please go sub up and share. You might like what he has to say. He's been there. He's real. He's got it. Okay, here we go. Fugitive TV. Oh, it's not sharing? Hang on. It's not sharing.
No, I don't hear anything either.
We're going to get down to this. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV.
Oh, I know why. Hang on. All right, hang on.
Right here now.
I've got it. Okay, I can tell you why you're not seeing the picture. I've got to take this thing off. Let me get rid of this asset right there.
Yeah, I can hear it. There we go.
Yeah. Right. All right, there you go. I was like, oh no, I forgot that I put that on there. And when you put that on there, it messes it up. So I'm going to get past his beginning and just restart talking about it. Here we go. Okay, there we go.
It's because, hey, I might have a different insight. Well, we are going to talk about what took place a couple days ago. Oh man, are you guys ready for this one? I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about this because some people were sending me emails wanting me to cover this. And this case, I should say, it was not an easy case to cover because of who it's dealing with. And not only that, there is just so much. And even after I get done with this video, I'm going to have to even go look at more to might even report to you guys. So you
and he's so right. There is so much more to this case than actually is being discussed. And I'll tell you, I really want these children protected. I do. I have seen things on TikTok already claiming that some of the children had Facebook pages. Some of the children had this. They don't know. They never had nothing. They don't have phones. They don't have no way to see. This is what I'm talking about. This misinformation garbage. But we'll let this keep playing. Again, this is Fugitive TV. Please go check out his channel, and we're going to use this under fair use. Here we go.
Probably gonna have to stay tuned for a part 2 to this.
Yes.
Well, 16 kids were rescued in a house. Okay. Yes, rescued in a house, living in a 12 by 12 bedroom.
Let's speed this up.
16 children were living in a 12 by 12 bedroom. Think about this for 1 minute. 12 by 12. Okay.
Ohio authorities have called unimaginable. We heard from the state attorney general, Andy Wilson, who said this looked like a third world country.
Actually, let me just stop for just a second and then we'll go right back to it. Everybody keeps saying 12 by 12, but remember I showed you the floor plan last night from the report card on the home, and it showed that back room there is actually a 16 by 12 room. But I know they're just saying 12 by 12. But anyway, it was that back room. Now, I also today have the pictures, more pictures of that home that I have found on the internet out there on some of these that are the real pictures. They're not the fake pictures, but there are fake videos going out there as well. Here we go.
That he can't get the smell out of his head. And as you mentioned, the sheriff there for Vinton County said that he had seen livestock kept in better condition than the children inside of those houses. But
16 people. That's crazy. Like I said, just picture that in the sick. So they're sleeping, using the bathroom, whatever they're doing inside this one bedroom, guys. This is how they found them. They said the conditions were some of the worst conditions, if not the worst conditions they have ever seen. They said there's wild animals that live way better than what they were living. Now, the people that were inside the house, you have two parents, Elizabeth and Gary Jr., both arrested.
Okay.
Then you have grandparents, believe it or not. Gary's parents, okay? Gary Sr. and Christina also arrested. So the grandparents.
Now, I know we've seen a lot of this. I'm going to move past part of this, and we're going to get to the part where we start talking about the other part to this that was not kind of discussed before. And this is things I found out today. Here we go. Let me move past a little bit of this because I know we've seen a lot of it, but I want to get to this other part of it here. Hang on just a second, guys. Here. All right.
I have questions over this. And the funny thing is some friends or family members are coming out speaking on social media with questions too.
Mm-hmm.
And we even have questions for them, which we're going to get into that. Neighbors of the family in Tiny Hampton, employees at local stores where they stopped or shopped, and even the investigators who responded to the scene have been left to wonder what allowed and to themselves, and the limited information shared by investigators doesn't offer a full answer. The children weren't enrolled in school. The family moved around over the past 2 decades, and neighbors said they never spotted the kids. The children remain mostly confined in a small room in the house. Investigators said under deplorable conditions, right under our noses, and nobody was able to help them, said Emily Collins, 27, owner of VC Farms and Floral in nearby MacArthur. It's just crazy that all the wonderful things going on in our little Hallmark town, this is what puts us on the radar. It's really sad. The mother of 3, who was compelled to decorate the sidewalk with bright flowers and stars drawn in chalk to cheer herself up. Authorities said they had gone to the home Tuesday. Okay, so keep this in mind. They went to the home.
It's really important that we keep up with this timeline because there's so many things about this that at first that did not make sense. We're hearing about, some indecent exposure, they did some exposure, and then we're hearing about, there was some stolen property, there's something else. But see, there's really some other very side narrative thing. There's another side story that's going on as well. But as we know, they are stealing the records, which is causing an issue for us to get real information. But here we go. Let's keep going. And thank you again, Under Fair Use, to Fugitive TV.
On an unrelated investigation and discovered the children ages 1.5 to 18 years old, some of whom were unable to speak. 7 were taken to the hospital, including one who was in critical condition. Investigators said their current conditions weren't immediately known. Thursday, child welfare officials have temporary custody of the children. A man who lives 3 houses down from the Siders family said he had seen no kids at all. It's a sad situation, said Joseph Stewart, who's lived in a quiet neighborhood for 6 years. 4 people who are the children's parents and grandparents were arrested on child endangerment charges. Gary Siders Jr., 36, Gary Siders, 73, who's the senior, the grandfather, Elizabeth Siders, 33, who is the mother, allegedly, and Christina Siders, 67, who was the grandmother, pleaded not guilty to child endangerment. Bond was set at $300,000 each. An attorney for the elder Siders said he is presumed innocent. We asked.
I am going to say this again tonight. I touched on a little bit on it last night, but as I went through this more and more today, listen, I believe that Elizabeth is going to be more of a victim than a perpetrator. Let me let this dog hang on a minute, guys, because the more I read about her and from her family, come on, let's go. Y'all come sit down. All right. And what's come out from her family, I believe what we're going to find is things are not always as they appear. Okay, just remember that.
Well, two
Here you
things
go. Go
could
ahead.
exist at
Yeah,
two things could exist at one time too. She could
you're
be a
right.
perpetrator and a victim at the same time.
Right.
You
But
know.
there's just so much to her history that if you go back and you look at battered woman syndrome, things like that, and you think back about their traits and the habits and how they were groomed into the situation when they didn't even realize what was happening to them until it was too late. We're going to think about that in just a few minutes, but let's get back to Fugitive TV and let him tell us more about what he's found out.
The community at large, as well as anyone who might have interest in this case, to take a deep breath, step back, and let the case play out. And facts play out. Attorneys for Siders Jr. and Christina Siders declined to comment. Messages seeking comment from Elizabeth Siders' lawyer were not immediately returned. Authorities would publicly share the nature of the other investigation. Now, like I said, excuse me, there was another investigation going on. We're going to get into that because I saw some things that were like being talked about online. So I'm going to try and clear a little bit up for you guys. However, court records show a warrant was issued for Siders Jr., who's the dad, that day on misdemeanor indecent exposure charges related to alleged incidents on 4 days in May. Now, he has pleaded not guilty. On Thursday, windows and doors at the formerly wide open home about 60 miles southeast of Columbus had been boarded up. Police tape and piles of refuse remain. The previous day, a door was ajar, and heaps of trash and children's toys were visible inside. A wood deck, backyards were filled with discarded tires, a high chair, and other debris. The house sits on a
You know what else? You know what else that I found when I started looking into these pictures. Now I want y'all to think about this for a second. When you go to the food pantry, they're loading. They ask you about how many people are in your home. I've never been to a food pantry, but this is the way I understand it. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. Anybody, if you know different, please correct me because I never want to give wrong information. And I do need to correct something I said last night. I was under the impression that poor little Jabea's mother or the lady that she I did not because the father kept saying girlfriend. I did not realize that the lady that reported her missing was her real mother. So that was her real mother, not a step parent. But of course, we know they've both been arrested and that child had been gone longer than 30 days. And that broke my heart. But now let's get back over to these kids. I just needed to correct that statement because I realized I was wrong about that later on. But when you go to a food pantry, because you're going to find, I'm going to show you some pictures. And in those pictures, you're going to see the boxes from the food pantry. So she's going to a diaper and formula pantry. She's going to a food pantry. She's going to the dollar store. Okay, so I know people, oh, they were hidden. They were hidden. No, they're not really hidden. The people on the street never saw them and they were not in public school, but there were other people in town where they were going to get supplies that knew they had these children. They just didn't know how many and they didn't know the ages. And nobody made a report about anything. I don't know why, but they just didn't. Here we go. Fugitive TV. Let's keep going.
road tucked alongside a sleep railroad embankment where tracks carry rumbling trains to a rail yard in a village of fewer than 1,000 residents. So it's a village is what they're saying, and it's about 1,000 residents, okay? And 20 of them pretty much live in this house, 16 in one bedroom.
Mm.
The closest neighbors are separated by trees and thick brush, but the house is easily visible from the road. Investigators said members of the family have moved around southern Ohio over the past 2 decades, and that looked like they avoided creating a medical or governmental paper trail. The Vinton County Local School District, the only district in the area, said it has no records indicating that any of the children were ever enrolled. These folks are pretty good at hiding these kids, Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson said Wednesday. The children's absence from school and their apparent lack of regular visits from medical professionals likely contributed to the keeping the dire situation unknown. When kids are isolated or not participating,
let's ask questions because this is where I have a lot of questions because you got to think in your mind, okay, they moved around a little bit, but still, how are you having that many children in one home and nobody is trying to get them into school. Nobody is trying to help them learn. What is happening to Elizabeth? Why is Elizabeth not able to do anything for her children except keep having these children over and over and over? So there is some disconnect. She's got some disconnect there, and I don't quite know what it is, and I hope we find out. But I will say I am glad they are sealing some of the records because these children's identities need to be protected. Okay, they've already been through a severe amount of trauma. They're going to go through a lot more trauma because they're never going to be enough. They're never going back to their parents. That's not going to happen. And I don't know that there's any other family members anywhere to take them. Here we go. And I've learned that one of the children or two of the children supposedly don't even belong to Elizabeth. They belong to her brother. Now, these are other pieces of information that I found out today, but here we go.
Have someone who's trained to know the clues. So, I mean, which is true. Think about it. The kids are born in this condition, right? So if they're born and when they're born, they're kept isolated, they don't know any better because there's nobody there to teach them any better.
He's right.
Then it goes on to say a well check is called that for a reason. They're checking for well-being and development. Investigators are reviewing whether the family was reported to any children's services in the past. The children spent most of their time in a room that was roughly 12 feet by 12. That I mean, very sad. Very, very sad. Now, yes, it says the youngest, 1.5 years, the oldest is 18. We're going to get into their ages because they had arraignment, and actually the judge reads the actual ages, their birth dates, and not just their birth dates, the judge is also going to read their initials. Actually, let's get into that now.
Okay, but hold on a second, because I'm going to show y'all something else. Let me bring this other picture up, and y'all bear with me while I get this pulled up. I just downloaded all of this stuff this afternoon. Let me see if I can find it's the family tree open file. Hang on, I'm going to have to share the screen in just a minute.
Now. You know, you see these cases like when the Turpins came out, you know,
right?
You think, oh my God, this is the worst I've ever seen. And then something comes along and there's another one. That's the worst we've ever seen. Is this ever going to end?
That's a good question, isn't it?
It's like, and you know, like Gannon and Harmony and I can't even think Leilani. I can't even think of that little baby's name. Every time you see something, you're like, oh my God, this is so bad. But then there's also that one that trumps that. Like, what's going to trump this? Because this is worse than the Turpins. I'm sorry.
I agree 100%. I'm going to put this over here where everybody can actually see what I'm looking at, and so we can talk about this. Now, if I need to blow it up a little bigger, I can. But as you see, somebody went out and made a family tree about this family. And I want you to look at the different children. Okay. The first one is somebody, Tyler. Okay. Let me make this a little bigger. All right. So we can actually see. I don't want to cover it up, but just like, okay, Tyler was somehow born between 2006 and 2007. Now, this is unconfirmed, with another father. Okay, this is the first one that she had. Supposedly, I believe she was either 13 or 14 years old. Now, I don't know that is a fact. We just know that by this timeline, which I think her brother helped make, this is what we know so far. Then there is a child numbered CS, born May the 30th of 2008. There's somebody named ZS, which was born August 17th of 2009. Then we have somebody named CS that was born March the 13th of 2011. Then we have somebody named KS that was born March the 28th of 2012. Okay. See, she's barely having enough time to recover before she's pregnant again. Then we have BS, which I believe, okay, so I'm not going to tell you the sex of the kids, okay, that we're not going to do that. But anyway, BS was born May of 2013, May 8th. Then we have GS, which was born September the 2nd of 2014. Then we skip a little bit, and then we have LS, who's born May 25th of 2016. And then we have BS, who's born October the 26th of 2017. JS, this is child number 10, who's born October the 27th of 2019. Then we have ES, September 29th, 2020. Then we have this is the twins. Now, this is one of the sets of twins right here. This is where it gets strange and something is not exactly right, okay? February the 10th, 2022, there's a set of twins born. Then we rock along. Again, this makes no sense because there's no freaking way she could have had twins in February of 2022 and then had another set of twins in November of 2022. Is that a possibility? Because there is discussion that that set of twins had passed away at birth that were born in November of 2022. Like they were born early, like she, for some reason, they were born early because you're talking about she had babies February the 10th. And we're going to go March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, the 22nd.
They
That's
they could
9 months.
they
Yeah,
could have been premature. We don't know.
right,
Those
right,
babies could have been born anywhere from what, 20, what's viability? 26 to 28 weeks.
right. Yeah.
So
I
they,
mean,
but there would have, how would they find, if, okay, I would assume that these people aren't talking. I would just assume. Now, I could be wrong. And obviously, the children, from what I've understood, they are not able to communicate as well. How
right.
are they getting all this information on these children?
Thank you.
How are they, who is determining this? Has this been something that we've heard from law enforcement? Is this just people making it up? How are they determining this? Because they said they didn't think the children were born at home, but they've never said that these children were born in the hospital. Are they just have they gone to the hospital to pull records for children born under this name? I'm sure these kids have no social security numbers. I'm sure that they're not getting information from the social security office. Have they filed tax returns? Are they looking at tax returns for these kids? Like, how are they determining all this?
Okay, some of this information came from her family. Her brother even stated, and I'm going to pull that up in a little bit. Her brother had made some posts on Facebook, and it's her real brother, about some of the children there. Actually, one of the children there was his child. Okay, so they're not all. Hang on a minute, guys.
No,
Hey
you
there,
have to go to this.
green-eyed.
You
Good to see
you
you.
have you have to go to the Social Security office to get your Social Security number in the United
They may not.
States.
They may not have any records. Period. If they were born at home, we don't know because nobody has ever said yes or no. All we've heard is according to, then this is just different. Yeah. Okay, so Green Eye Choctaw, tell me how you know that there's actually birth certificates, please. Thank you.
No,
Okay,
she's
yes.
saying that she said if you're born in the hospital, you have a Social Security number.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I've
She
I've
does.
never any of my children. I was never unless things have changed. I was not given a Social Security number for my children at the hospital.
Okay, here's what Green Eye Choctaw is saying. I have 3 children. They gave you a social security number when you were at the hospital, and the cards come later in the mail. Okay, so they sign you up in the hospital. But if your
Yeah,
babies
but
are born at home, then you don't have anybody to give you the form. See what I'm saying? This is something we don't know because we cannot verify any of that.
yeah, that didn't happen when I had my kids, unless it's different now.
Right. So this is something we just don't know whether they have a social security number. Thank you, Green. I appreciate that. I don't know. And by the way, welcome in. Thank you for coming in. I don't know because law enforcement again is sealing records and they're not disclosing if there are any records of birth anywhere. So let's keep going. So now, so this set of twins is, I don't know, this is iffy, but again, this is coming from her side of the family. This was in a Facebook post and even
Okay,
from her brother. Okay,
I'm
so
just
let's keep,
I'm disturbed by that because if there was family, then how the hell are these people, children, living like this?
thank you, but let's keep going. So then we have BS and WS born January the 4th, 2024. And then we have Isaiah and Isaac who were born January the 20th. Oh, I just said their names. I didn't mean to do that. Um, Born January the 21st of 2025. So that is all of the children that we know of are this. Okay, so the hospital does the work with the birth certificates, then the SS card comes with. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Now,
Thank you. I did not know
because
that.
that is different. It is different from when my children were born, but you have to understand I'm 65. My children are, I have one that's 18, going to be 19. But anyway, and I don't remember how he got his social security card. I
I
don't
think
remember. I don't remember that part. Yeah.
didn't we have to take birth certificates into the social, if I remember correctly. Now, I mean, I've had a stroke,
Yeah.
so I don't remember
Right.
everything. I seem
That's
to
right.
remember having to take the birth certificate into the Social Security office,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, but that could be wrong.
So in this timeline that's been provided here, it says dates of births are presented in court hearings. Some dates are unknown. Okay. So I don't know if, and again, this is information that was pulled from that somebody gathered up, that somebody made this timeline. I can't even tell you who made the timeline. Let me see if there's any names on here. I don't know who made this timeline. I just saw it and I was like, okay, this is good information. And I would love to be able to verify every bit of it. And then I discovered, well, some of this came from her own family members that I thought, okay, well, it might be safe to show. So here's the timeline that I have found anyway.
Do we actually have a date of birth for the mother?
Yes, because she has a real marriage license. She was actually legally married in West Virginia to Gary Jr. Okay. Now, yeah. Now we're going to go back and I'm going to reshare where we left off with Fugitive TV. So here we go. Let's share that. I just wanted to share that with you really fast. I think it's a good piece of information, but anyway.
Yeah.
Now, all right. Now, this was from, of course, I know we've seen parts of this already, and I've sped it up so we can get through it and move on to the next part. Here we go.
CS, date of birth 5/30/2008. Count 2 is ZS, date of birth 8/17/2009. Count 3 is CS, date of birth
I should
3/13/2011.
have left that up.
Count 4 is KS, date of birth 3/28/2012. Count 5 is BS, date of birth 5/8/2013. Count 6 is GS3, date of birth 9/2/2014. Count 7 is LS, date of birth 5/25/2016. Count 8 is VS, date of birth 10/26/2017. Count 9 is JS, date of birth 10/27/2019. Count 10 is ES, date of birth 9/29/2020. Count 11 is NS, date of birth 2/10/22. Count 12, SS, date of birth 2/10/22. Count 13, alleges harm to John Doe, date of birth 1/21/25. That's John Doe A. There's John.
Okay, so see, they have a John Doe A and a John Doe B. Now, what is this the set of twins that is maybe deceased? I don't know. But I thought that was interesting when she said John Doe A and John Doe B. You know that is a set of twins. Here we go.
Doe B, date of birth 1/21/25. Count 15 is simply identified by first name Isaac, no date of birth at this time. Count 16, Isaiah, no date of birth at this time. Count 17, Wade, no date of birth at this time. Those are for you, Mr. Siders Jr.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you realize there were some John Does in there. Some John Does in there, okay, guys? Meaning these kids didn't have names or they didn't have ages. They don't know exactly what's going on because some of these don't have a paper trail. Now, I know you're probably wondering, if you haven't heard of this, how old is the couple? The couple was not that old at all.
Okay. Now, I'm going to come right back to him, but I'm just going to say this. As he starts talking about this paper trail and these kids and these ages, originally, my first thought was, well, there was no way that she could have all of these children herself. Is there older children in the house that were also having children that nobody knew about? I don't know, and I don't want to start any rumors either. Again, we just want to give facts and not give misinformation, because that's what takes these cases and turns it into a circus. And I don't want this for this little family. These children deserve so much more. Here we go.
Oh, you have Gary and Christina, okay? Gary and Christina, which I read their ages to you already, are very young. Here, I'll read that to you right now.
They are.
So Gary Jr., who's the dad, is only 36. And the oldest is 18. So keep that in mind. So that means he had to have when he was 18, right?
Yes.
Now, Elizabeth Siders is 33 years old. Okay. She is 3 years younger than Gary. So meaning she was about 15 years old when she had her first kid, the 18-year-old. Now, Gary and Elizabeth, they got married when he was 18 and she was 15.
But now this is where it gets a little strange, and this is where it comes back to something that I had found. Let me go back over here, and I'm going to bring this up from, this is going to be from Facebook, and this is actually her brother doing the talking. So let me pull this back up over here. Is his name at Facebook? Let's see, Cider Children. Her brother talks. Hang on a minute, I got to pull this back up. Okay, because it's kind of interesting because when he starts talking about it, okay. All right, Facebook, here we go. Update from the family member. Now, update from the family member says, a family member described years of isolation before 16 children were discovered living in this Ohio home. As more information comes to light about the shocking case involving the 16 children found inside a home in Benton County, a heartbreaking picture is beginning to emerge. All 4 adults who were living at the home have now been arrested, we know that, and each face 16 counts of child endangerment, 1 count for every child that the investigators found inside the residence. Those charged, we know who they are. Now, according to the authorities, the deputies did not initially respond to the property because of those concerns. Okay, we know that. Now, court records indicate that the investigation possibly began after a warrant was obtained involving Gary Siders Jr. for some multiple public indecencies. Now, these public indecencies happened in his yard. Who saw this? What's going on here? You see how part of that story makes no sense? It's not clear. There's some things missing about that story. Now, officials describe many of the children as, we know that. I also spoke with Elizabeth Sider's sister-in-law, who shared what she says is the family's history. And I believe that is where that timeline came from. According to her, Elizabeth grew up in Ohio with her parents and 2 older brothers in what she describes as a typical working family. The Siders family also lived in the same trailer park where Elizabeth met Gary Siders Jr. She says Elizabeth became pregnant when she was just 13 years old, but it was not Gary Jr.'s child. It was somebody else's child, okay? The family says they repeatedly tried to involve law enforcement because of the relationship, because of the age difference, but they believe nothing was done. Elizabeth allegedly continued to seeing Gary despite her family's efforts to intervene. According to the sister-in-law, after giving birth to her first child, Elizabeth told her mother that she wanted to become emancipated. She allegedly warned her that if she refused to sign the paperwork, she would leave the state with her baby and the family would never see her again. Okay. The family says Elizabeth and Gary later traveled to West Virginia to marry because they could not legally marry in Ohio due to her age. But then she reportedly already had multiple children. By the time she was 15, they're saying she married him when she was 15 years old. Now they're saying she already had multiple children. Come on. So now the dates are really not matching up. Think about that. Now the dates are not matching up. Now this is from the sister-in-law. Okay. They claim she would, okay. Oh, from the point forward, relatives say Elizabeth became increasingly isolated from her family. They claim she was rarely allowed to communicate with them and had little contact over the years. Now, this is where we're coming back to where I believe that there's more to this story and that Elizabeth may actually be a victim as well. And I'm just trying to give her the benefit of a doubt from what we know about trauma and about abuse and all of the things that go with that, right? Now, looking through Elizabeth's mother's social media tells us its own heartbreaking story. Birthday wishes continued year after year, along with messages expressing hope that one day she would see her daughter again. According to the family, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Lynn Siders were the central figures in the household. The sister-in-law described Lynn as being the person who largely controlled the family dynamics. So it's the grandma who's controlling the family, not Gary Siders Jr. and not Gary Siders Sr. This is what her family believes now. So this is all allegedly, but it's based on the story that her family told. Eventually, she also said one of Gary Jr.'s sisters occasionally provided updates to Elizabeth's mother about how many children Elizabeth had given birth to. Eventually, the number became so high that family members struggled to believe it could be true. So there are family members that know about these children, right? You're not going to sit here and say nobody knew. The sister-in-law also shared that sometime between November and December 2025, Elizabeth and Gary visited Elizabeth's mother's home. Elizabeth and Gary Jr. went to Elizabeth's mother's home. Come on, come on. Now, at that time, this is where it gets kind of interesting over here. She says Gary did nearly all the talking while Elizabeth remained mostly silent. During that visit, they reportedly told the family that one of their babies had died and that the death was under investigation. Hear me out. Okay? It is unknown whether that investigation is connected to the current case. Authorities initially stated they believed the family had moved around frequently and had not been in the area very long. However, another piece of information has surfaced that may paint a different picture. A TikTok creator named Kai says that she previously worked at a local baby pantry and recognized Elizabeth immediately after the arrests were announced. Now, remember, I told y'all there was a baby pantry where they picked up diapers and formula for these children. So, yeah, those people knew about them. According to Kai, Elizabeth had been visiting this pantry for at least the past 2 to 3 years to receive baby diapers and supplies. She said Gary Jr. would remain outside in the vehicle while Elizabeth came inside. Kai recalled Elizabeth wearing oversized clothing, shoes that did not fit, and appearing extremely anxious during nearly every visit. She also claimed Elizabeth sometimes attempted to visit more than once a week, despite the pantry's once per week policy. Well, I talked about that last night. If accurate, that account would suggest the family has remained in the same general area much longer than investigations initially believed. Now, during the press conference, officials stressed they have found no evidence that this was a human trafficking operation. Instead, the investigators described it as an intra-family abuse case, and that's how I see it as well. Now, each defendant is currently being held. We know about the $300,000 bond. Now, several additional claims have also circulated locally, but they have not been confirmed by law enforcement. Those claims include allegations that the children were never enrolled in school, were confined to that small room for long periods, and that the first responders encountered dangerous structural conditions inside the home. We don't know if that's true or not. These allegations remain unverified. One additional public record that has surfaced in October of 2021 was a post from Pike County Sheriff's Office seeking Gary Sides Jr. after investigators reported stolen property had been located at a residence associated with him. Now, I talked about that last night, which I think was this parallel investigation that was going on. This investigation is still in its early stages, and given the number of children involved and the conditions described by the investigators, many expect additional information and potentially more charges as this case continues to unfold. So that is the story on that part. So that is new information that I picked up today. Now we're going to go back to fugitive TV. I don't know, Sprinkle. What do you think about the fact that they had visited her mother and her family knew about these children?
Well, I would think being the grandmother, even if that was the case, you would pursue trying to make sure that everyone is okay, especially the fact that she got involved with this man when she was so young. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe there comes a point to where you have to just let it go because you can't deal with that whole situation. Like I can't, as a mother, I mean, if my child wanted to be emancipated and took off, I would be sick with worry and I would want to know they were okay. But I think at one point, I guess what I'm trying to say is I would think maybe at one point the grief just becomes so overwhelming that maybe you have to just let it go because you can't continue on with your life. Maybe they just couldn't worry anymore.
Well,
You
but
know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
right, I do
You know
know.
what
I
I'm
know what you're
saying?
saying. Yeah. But the thing about it is, if you're being told that your daughter is repeatedly having children over and over and over, and you are not allowed to talk to her, wouldn't you want to try to do something? Because it seems like what we're understanding now is that Elizabeth was just kept over there in a situation where she had the outside world to her consisted of going to the food pantry and going to the place for diapers and formula and going to the dollar store at night, which the dollar store employees have talked about the fact that they tried to help them, giving them supplies, etc., instead of picking up the phone and calling and saying, hey, I think something's wrong in this family. And I kind of touched on that a little bit last night about people are like, well, people aren't nosy enough. And we understand why, because what if you're reporting something and it's not true, right? We know that. Now let's go back to Fugitive TV while I go find this other story that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Hang on, guys. All right, here we go. Thank you, Fugitive TV.
And like I said, so she had the first kid around 15, meaning she probably got, oh my God, she had to be 14 when this all happened. So it's crazy. Now, because of these age gaps, or I should say the age she was, some people are coming out saying that she possibly was a victim. Could she have been a victim? I don't know. But what we're going to do is we're going to get into that a little bit later, and then you can decide if she was a victim or not. Now, before we get into that, I like to read multiple articles because one article will give you some information. Another article might fill in the blanks or give you some other information that you didn't know about. So I always go to multiple, at least more than one. So this one right here from Fox 19 says Ohio family had 16 kids in the third world living conditions for years. Now, allegedly, they were in this one house for 4 years, but like the article read before that, they were moving around. Okay. Vinton County, Ohio, 16 kids ranging from 1 to 18 were found living.
Now, I know that we saw some of these stories last night, and so I'm going to move past some of these, and we're going to get back further into his show and let him tell us a little bit more about something else that he knows. And then we'll come back and read you the next thing that's popped up over here on Facebook. But it's going to be from Matt Thibodeau, who we know who Matt Thibodeau is, and we trust him. He is a TikToker, and he's always spot on. He's honest, and he does not give us BS. But anyway, here, let's go back over here and fix this. Let's go out of here a little bit further. Hang on a minute. Get past this article. All right. Here we go.
What they went through. And not only that, for the parents and the grandparents, man, disgusting, truly disgusting and horrifying. We'll talk at the end what needs to happen to them. Now, this right here is going to give us a little more detail of why the police were there in the first place. Not a lot of detail, but it's going to give us a little bit. And then I'm going to fill in a little bit of this for you, okay?
Good.
Investigators have said they were conducting an unrelated investigation when they discovered the children and did not expect to find them inside the home, okay? Court records obtained by 10 TV show a warrant for the arrest of Gary Siders Jr. was requested June 29th and served the following day, which was when authorities discovered the children. The warrants list for public indecency, charges tied to incidents at the family's home. One was on May 23rd, then on May 27th, then May 29th, and then May 31st.
Now, hang on just a second, guys. Hang on. When you hear this part of the story, hang on a minute now. We're hearing that nobody knew those kids were down there. Nobody knew those kids were down. All right. If these incidents happened at his home, who reported these incidents to the police? Who was down there seeing him do this? How did we get from nobody knows they're down there and nothing's going on to all of a sudden he is reported to the police for indecent exposure on his property? Who reported this and why? How did this happen? See, there's some little piece of this story that's just missing. Who was there that day? Yeah.
And I have a thought too. And I wonder if they are going to, or if they have done DNA testing on these children to see if in fact they were all hers and his children, that they weren't, like he talked about before,
right,
that there's couldn't be some kind of molestation with the grandfather, with anybody. I don't want to put anybody's name out there. That they are all they're two of them's biological children.
I'm pretty sure they're going to do that, and they're going to have to, because they do need to figure out. Because even her brother has said, "Oh no, one of those children is mine." He left his own child living in that situation with them. He knew that situation was going on. Now this is where it gets really disgusting and upsetting. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go with. Go ahead.
Did they own that home? Did they rent that home?
No. That house is owned by a trust. A little old lady who passed away. And we read the report card on that home last night from the CAD, the authority, the taxing authority over there in that little county. And no, now the lady, the family trust that owns the house, the trustee does live in that little town. And see, I wondered if this had something to do with going to collect rent. Okay, because here we are at the end of the month and these charges are being filed, and him upset because they can't pay. You see what I'm saying? Is something like that going on? Is who reported him?
If it's a decent exposure, maybe one of the neighbors saw him outside.
Have you seen the house?
Yeah.
This house is at the end of the road. There's nothing across the street from them, and it's by the railroad tracks. It's like they found
there's no neighbors next door, nothing. I've seen a picture of the house, but not of the street.
Right. Well, maybe I can pull a map up, but what I understood, no, there was not a house directly across the street. But okay, we still don't know. But let's let him keep going. But I'm just saying, there's some little part of the story that is missing, and I'm hoping that we can get that picture because these people, yes,
well,
they need to be held accountable. Yeah,
this is just the beginning of what they're going to
yeah.
There's going to be more charges. There's going to be child abuse charges. There's going to be all kinds of charges added to this. Because what they're facing now, it sounds like a lot, but it's only because there's so many. It sounds like a lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not child abuse. It's not felony child abuse. It's not that it's not a serious charge. It is, but it's the quantity of the charge right now that sounds like a lot. Because considering what condition these children were in, the charges that they're facing right now is nothing. These children were near death.
Well, if every one of these charges stick on each one of these people, they could be facing up to 128 years in prison, each person, if they get each 6. So let's let them keep talking.
And of course that's max, right?
Right.
And how often did these people get max?
They don't. But here's another part about this. Now, I don't know if you watched my live from last night, but Grandpa. Okay, Grandpa. Oh, shame on you. But Grandpa is in a wheelchair. So how we don't know his disabilities. We don't know what they are. But Grandpa is in a wheelchair, and apparently he's kind of hard of hearing, I believe. And as I listened to Gary Snyder's talk with the judge, I noticed something about him as well. And if you go back and you watch my show from last night, you might pick it up on yourself. I think that even Gary Siders Jr. has some kind of disability because his speech was very wasn't easy to understand. As if he had a hearing disorder. There's something going on there because his speech is not correct either. But anyway, let's listen to this, and I'll go find that other part of the story. Here we go. Okay, Fugitive TV. I'll go sub up if you.
Unclear whether the public indecency investigation led investigators to the home. 10 TV visited Vinton County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday to request reports related to the public indecency investigation. Those records were not immediately available. Okay, it is just heartbreaking. A neighbor said, "These poor kids is just awful." All right, so
yeah,
the police were investigating what they call a parallel investigation. All right, and as you see right here, now I have the actual warrant for Gary, and I read the warrant, and the warrant says that, as I told you just now, read to you 4 different times, okay, within pretty much 2 to 3 days of each other each time, there was a charge for indecent exposure, May 23rd, May 27th, May 29th, and May 31st. On the warrant, it says, now here's the odd thing I found about this. The warrant says each time this happened at the same location that they lived at. But then it says that he exposed himself to a non-family member. So this is the part.
Okay. So did you hear what he just said? This is what I'm saying. There's another part to this story, and how this started. How this started is going to be, I think we're going to be shocked when that part comes out, because I think he's seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. It was a non-family member. Somebody went over there 2 or 3 days in a row. Why would somebody go there 2 or 3 days in a row? Okay, let's keep listening. It's interesting, but
I find very interesting to a non-family member. So it can mean one of two things. Was he exposing himself while he was outside, say like in the front or backyard, and a neighbor or a couple neighbors saw him, or people driving by saw him, or something like that? Now, it would have to be somebody that knew him, you would think, in order to call the police and say, hey, this guy, because the police knew his name. They had a warrant for his arrest. So they knew it was him. So it had to be somebody that knew him. It wasn't just a bystander that just drove by. So it would have to be a neighbor, you would think, right? Like I said, like it's very odd. Now, did they call 4 separate times? Did they call on the 27th and then call on the 29th and 31st? Or did they call one time? Okay. Let's say, for example, they called June 1st and gave them the dates. Say, hey, this happened this date, that happened this date, this happened this date. And like I said, non-family member. So was somebody at the house and he exposed himself? Now, this warrant is actually for the junior, not the older gentleman, not the grandparent. It's for the actual parent of the kids. Now, this is a warrant for an arrest. This is not a warrant for search. I saw some confusion of people talking about that. So, no, the warrant that's floating around online, the one I have, that warrant is actually for an arrest. So that means they can come to arrest you. That does not mean they can actually come into the house and start searching. All right. So there's an actual search warrant, but that search warrant, the judge sealed it and a probate judge sealed it. There's 2 search warrants, people. One search warrant was served by a judge. A second search warrant was signed off by a probate judge.
Now, hang on a second. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Now, why would a probate judge be signing off on a warrant? Okay, a search warrant. Why? Now, we do know that this house is in a trust and that the little old lady had passed away. But see, you don't, when you have property in a trust, there's no reason to probate the property. You don't have to do that. It's in the trust. It's set aside. That's done. So I don't know if that was just the only judge available that day. So he got the luck of the draw and he's the one that signed it, in which it could very well be that. I don't know, but we have 2 different warrants. It's just starting to get really strange here. And now that they sealed those records, it's just cut off so much. And I know why they did it. It's to protect the children. But I just wonder if somebody showed up over there to collect rent because it was the end of the month and they showed up on the 27th and, however many days. And then all of a sudden on the 1st, he's over there getting arrested, let's just see. Let's see.
Both of them, I guess, sealed search warrants. So we cannot see exactly why they went searching in the first place. Now, did it have to deal with any of these indecent exposures? Is that what the parallel was going on? That part we don't know. But what would cause a judge to sign off on a search warrant? Indecent exposure, yes, it's a charge, guys. But in a lot of cases, I mean, depending on who you're exposing yourself to, because you could be in public using a bathroom, okay, and a cop's use a bathroom and give you a decent exposure.
Right.
And then it ends up just being a misdemeanor. But if you're using a bathroom, let's say in a kid's school zone, now that's a whole different story. You might have to register after that. So it all depends on the situation. So for somebody to sign off on a search warrant on your home means they already had to have evidence. Somebody had to say something. Somebody had to tell something for them to sign off evidence. And what was the evidence that they signed off on to go, okay, you can go search this home. So it makes me wonder who exactly was being exposed to. Did one of the kids that was there get a hold of a phone and call 911, call the police or something? Was there somebody else there that called? Did Elizabeth call and maybe gave a fake name? Something is going on for them.
Thank you, Fugitive TV. Something is going on. I mean, and this, I've also wondered, was he urinating in the yard? Because I'm going to tell y'all a story. And this came from somebody else, and they were completely shocked that they actually got charged with this, how this happened. They were on a beach, okay? Listen, they were on a beach, and they were just peeing over there on the beach, right? Like thinking it was no big deal. But there was children so many feet back over here on this beach. Well, this police officer saw this going on, and they actually got a felony. They ended up with a felony for indecent exposure in front of children for pissing on the beach in front of the children. Now that seems, it seems harmless, but it's not harmless. So then you come back over here, and we're hearing this story, and you're going, was he urinating out in the yard? I mean, what happened here? Go ahead, it's Springfield. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He could have been doing it to the mailman.
Right,
A mailman goes to the property every day. Who knows?
right. Who knows? I don't know. Or was somebody trying to serve him with was a process server out there going to serve him with a paper and he didn't want it? He just said, F you or whatever, and he peed in the yard, and the guy said, I mean, I don't know. To me, it just seems so strange. What's going on here? All right, we'll get back over here and let Fugitive TV keep telling us. Good story.
Why
good
they
story.
actually sealed the search warrant. And I can't wait for them to unseal it because I'm very interested as well. But I guarantee you, somebody knew something. Now, another reason why they will seal a search warrant is because, well, I would say another reason because I didn't even give you the first reason, right? A reason why they would seal a search warrant is it's multiple reasons, okay? One is so sometimes they might think more evidence is out there,
right?
Or witnesses. They don't want that evidence to be destroyed. So when a cop has a search warrant and they knock on your door or whatever, they say we have a search warrant, and you ask for it, and they give you the search warrant. The search warrant's going to give you a description pretty much of items they are searching for. It's going to say electronics, computers, cell phones, documents, money. It's going to have all that on there. So you know exactly, okay, what are they in my house searching for? All right. And then whatever's on that search warrant, if they find it, they're allowed to take it. So if it says computers, laptops, they go in your house, they can take it. Now, the way it works is they really can't take something that's not on their search warrant. So for example, they can't go into your house and your car's in the garage and they can't just take your car. It's not a search warrant. But what they can do is take anything that they deem that's evidence with that crime. All right. So if they go into your garage, they see the car might have blood in it or DNA. Now they can take it. You get what I'm kind of saying? Because now they can say that's linked. So they have a record of what's being searched, and then they can say anything deemed to, or connected that they feel to the crime. So when they seal it.
Now hang on a minute. Okay, so here in this particular case, you got to think about this logically, actually. So if they have a warrant and they're going to go into this house, then they notice that there's all these kids here. Well, that's a whole separate crime. But because the kids are in danger, they have the right to call CPS and start taking them out of there right then. They don't need a warrant to take the kids out. That's a whole separate crime, right? So it's going to be fascinating to find out, was it part of the stolen property that was referenced before? Is that the parallel case? Is that why somebody was there in the first place, to look for this stolen property? And he said, hell no, you're not getting on my property. And, was publicly urinating. I don't know what happened there. But see, I just think that I think that A and B is going to equal C. But here we go.
These things, they don't want people out there destroying it. And not only that, sometimes witnesses can be connected to a search warrant. Now, all names are going to be redacted, but it can give a description. For example, it can say, I called the police on June 1st, name redacted, because Gary exposed himself to me in the bathroom with the kid right there. You get what I'm trying to say? So it can information, because that's why they seal things. So I'm wondering why exactly they were there in the first place. So the actual search warrant is sealed, guys. That you're not going to find that is sealed. So if you come across a document that says warrant, that's a warrant for an arrest. A warrant for an arrest, they cannot go into your home. They can only knock on your door and ask you to step outside. You literally can close the door if you want and lock yourself in the house. Now they got to go back and get a search warrant to get you out. So,
but that depends on the type of warrant, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Now this guy's
interesting. If it's a bench warrant for like a failure to appear on a case, they can't come into your home. But if it's a warrant for murder, I believe they can come in your home.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about this guy. Okay. This guy was on the run for years. He was a fugitive. That's why he calls himself Fugitive TV. He finally got tired of being on the run and went and turned himself in. So he knows a lot about this, about warrants and all this kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna say we're gonna talk.
Maybe it depends on your state too.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because
Let's
think
listen.
about it. If they have a warrant for murder, okay, they know I murdered somebody. They know I'm in my house. I just can't believe they're going to knock on my door and be like, oh, she's not going to answer. We're just going to go away. I know in California that's not the way it is.
See, I think the same thing. I think that, I mean, but for a misdemeanor warrant, sure. I mean, but
Yes.
but a failure to appear? I don't know. I'm going to look up some information while he talks, okay? So let's keep going here.
Had another
Yeah,
reason to
failure
even
to
search
appear,
about
they won't
what
do
was
it.
the reason. Now, some of the family members are coming out, all right? There's a family member on Gary's side. Now, Gary has older sisters, all right? One of the sisters named Linda, allegedly, every time they had more kids, Gary and Elizabeth, allegedly Linda would tell Elizabeth's parents or mother. Now you got to remember, Gary and Elizabeth got married when she was 15. Okay. So they got married when she was 15. And I'm still wondering where the parents of Elizabeth, what are they doing? Where are they at? They just let her run off and get married with this person. I'm still wondering about how that, transpired. What happened with that? It seems like every single adult in the situation failed everybody, from the kids to the parent. Everybody was failed from the older people. That's what it seems like. But every time they had more children, I guess Linda would tell Elizabeth's parents. So Linda knew there was kids there. Now, there's a picture right here I'm going to show you. This picture is of Linda with her parents in front of the
Look right
house.
there.
So
Look
in
right
front of the
there.
house.
That is that house right there. She knew those kids were in there. So, I mean, we cannot say nobody knew because they did know. Now, they may be family members, but they did know those kids were in there. They did know the deplorable conditions they're living in. This is what's so
But
strange.
isn't that his mom?
That is okay. No,
That sure looks like his mom.
this
Look at the picture.
Linda is
Yeah.
Gary's sister. Okay, this is Gary's
Uh-huh.
mother, and this is Gary's mother, and this is Gary's
Okay.
father. This is the
That's what
sister.
I thought. That's the sister. Okay.
Right. Okay. And Linda
Yeah,
is
but
going
that's
back and
his mom.
telling, yes, Linda is going back and telling Elizabeth's family, hey, they had more kids, they had more kids. And Elizabeth's family knows that she is being kept away from them, that she's not able to communicate with them. So, see, they know that their daughter's in this abusive situation. I'm just going to say it like how I see it now. This is allegedly, in my opinion, not that my opinion counts, but I think they knew that she was in this situation. And I kind of think in my mind, is it a situation where her family said, well, we can't have 21 kids living here with us? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Oh, she
Yeah.
can't leave him because what's she going to do with all those kids, right? Because now there's
Yeah.
there's a softer side to Elizabeth here that I want to talk about in a few minutes, but let's keep going here. But that's a fascinating picture right there, isn't it? There you go, guys. Wow.
Did she not go in the
That
house? Um,
What?
I'm wondering, that picture looks like it was fairly recent, but not terribly recent.
It's
Because
not
they do
terribly
look up,
recent, but it is that house.
yeah, that because you can tell they still look the same, but they look a bit heavier here.
Right.
But like the hairstyle's still the same, within probably the past 5-10 years, I guess, probably.
Well, they only lived in that house for the last 4 years, is what we understand. Let
Okay,
me
so
see if
maybe,
I
yeah,
can.
within the last 4 years, 5 years.
Hold on a second. I want to show you this picture over here. If I can get it to open. Stop, 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 stop. No, 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 no. No, now I'll show you that in a little bit. Let me see if I can find this other picture right here. No, I'm not going to show that one yet. We'll wait because I'm going to show y'all this thing that I think is fake as hell when we get to it after he gets anyway. We'll just keep going here.
if she did go in the house, she didn't smell anything.
She had
About
to
that
have.
house,
I just got questions. I got a lot
had
of
to have
questions.
smelled from the street. It had to have smelled from the street.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to show you something here. I think it's this one right here. All right, now let me share my screen right quick. Let me put this over here, and then we're going to come back to our fugitive TV just a second, guys. Let me show you this picture right here because this is where it goes to. They know People know, people were knowing, people were knowing. I know they were knowing. Now, look at this picture right here. Make sure y'all can see what I see. Do you see what I'm seeing? Okay. Do you see these boxes right here? See where my pointer is? Do you see those boxes right there? Right there? That is the boxes that when they go to the food pantry and they give them food, they come in these boxes. They pack up a box of, different kinds of foods and they put them in these boxes. And they were going to this food pantry picking up this food. That's just one of them. There's many of these pictures. Let me see if I can find the other one over here. Let me see, open file. Let's see. Okay, look at this right here. Now this is that. Okay, remember the picture you just saw? Oh, I got to share the screen. Hello, stupid. Sorry, guys. I get all sidetracked. Okay, I'm going to share the screen and show you this right here. It's this window. All right, there you go. Share. Now, this is that house that we just saw them in the picture in. Remember the siding on that house? Look at that. Look at the inside of that. You know that house was already like that. You know she saw it. This is not new. This was not just done last week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. That's not new. Yeah, she knew it was there. She knew it was there. This is what's wild about this story and the nobody knew story, because it's just not exactly true, right? There's no way it can be true when we start looking at all the different pictures and all the different things that are now coming out that we did not know about at first, right? I know that's how some of the mistakes were made, because people were the neighbors, but there was more people than just the neighbors that knew of these people, right? The neighbors only saw, the adults every once in a while, but there's family members, there's people in town. Yeah, there's more going on. Here we go. It's sickening, really. All right, there you go.
When it comes to when you're at the house, you didn't ask where all these kids was at. I just got questions. You're
Thank
welcome to reach
you.
out to me and let me know and give me these answers, because hey, I just went and I'm not the only one. A lot of people got these questions.
We
Okay.
sure do.
Now, as you read, it says 16 kids. It wasn't just 16. Allegedly, this woman had 21 children. 21. Because Elizabeth's brother came out and said, hey, there's more than 16, there's 21. Now, apparently, there's another set of twins that passed away. All right. Another set of twins that passed away. That would be 18. So where is 19, 20, 20? Where's the other three? What happened to the other three? Did they pass away and they're just buried somewhere? What happened with the other three?
Now, that's the exact question I had last night. Okay, well, if they are not being born in a hospital, if we understand they're being born at home, and that there's no record, that we understand there's no public record of them, who's keeping up with the birth date? I guess they're being written down in the family Bible. I don't know. That's a question I also have. Where are all? I've had fears that there were babies just buried someplace else. I don't know. Sprinkle. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, well, obviously they're not gonna call the author. I mean, they don't take their children to the hospital. They're not gonna call the authorities. I would be surprised if there's not gonna be soon digging around that property.
Okay, so but listen to this though. If she is 13, 14, 15, having babies, as from what we've been told so far, and there's actually only 16 of them there, and there is some family members saying that there was a set of twins that did pass away. So if there are three other children, who are they? Where are they? But see, even her own brother said, "Oh no, one of those children is mine." So that comes back to only 20 children, right? Not 21. So, and again, your brother knows you're living like this, but he's leaving his child in that. Why is he not being charged?
Yeah,
He needs to
for
be charged
abandon.
as well. Yeah,
He needs to be charged with abandonment
yeah,
because you
exactly.
you legally just can't be like, here, raise my kid. You have to have court orders and all of those things. And it's uh,
Well, I
it,
mean, his child was not in school either. Think about that.
why wouldn't you be checking on your child? If
Thank
I was
you.
in a situation, okay, say I'm a drug addict and I can't care for my child and I gave my child to somebody to care for.
Right.
Maybe when I got out of my drugs, then I would be like, "Oh my God, I need to check on my child." I don't know. I think even as a mom, if you were in an addict, you would still be worried about your child. Why you wouldn't check on your child
Right.
just to make sure they were okay. I don't know. Maybe such situations occur where people just don't. They have to take care of themselves first before they can care for their child. I get that. I get that you got to put the airplane mask on you first before you can help somebody else. I get that whole thing. But to just never, and it'd be curious to know how many years they've had this child.
Right.
Is this
I want to know.
recent? Is it 10 years? Is the 18-year-old kid? How long has it been?
That's a good question. Now, here's the answer to the search warrant, and can they just come into your home? An arrest warrant for you. If police have a valid arrest warrant for you and believe that you are inside, they have legal authority to enter your home if they believe you're in there. It authorizes the police to look for specific items, as he discussed. They can forcibly enter and dismantle the property if necessary. Dismantle the property if necessary. You have the right to remain silent. Now, an
Yeah.
arrest warrant for someone else. An arrest warrant for a guest or a friend does not automatically allow police to search a third party's home. They generally need a separate search warrant or consent to enter a third party's residence. So there's the answer on how the search warrant warrants, how that works
Yeah.
on that question.
That's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
it makes more sense, really. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this back up and I'm going to let him talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to show you something else. Hold on.
If this is true. Now, let's get into what they were being fed. So,
Thank you.
there is a Dollar Tree or Dollar General employee. The employee came out and said that he has seen them before, that they would usually walk in, and not all of them, but I guess Gary and Elizabeth and maybe a child or two would walk into Dollar General right before they close. Okay. He said they would usually maybe get vegetable oil and eggs. And he said the kids always that was either with them stood real close to the parents, never ventured off, never looked anybody else in the eye. Their hair would be over their face. So if their hair is over their face, I'm thinking maybe they're females, because they're not giving us if they're males, females. Now we know the 18-year-olds are female. We know that, but we don't know how many are males. We don't know this, but it could be males too, because hey, they're hygienic, growing hair. We don't know. Um, Employees did feel bad, so they would give them like hygiene products, but they said it felt like they never even used the hygiene products. Well, come to find out, they're buying a lot of vegetable oil and getting a lot of vegetable oil because that's what they're being fed, guys. They're being fed
What?
vegetable oil
Okay.
and water. They would visit the store almost every night.
Now, I don't
Oh
understand
my God, I'm sick. I'm
how are you
sick.
feeding a
Goodness.
child vegetable oil and water? This is where I'm very confused, and I'm glad he's discussing this part of this because I myself, I couldn't talk about. I'm gonna let him tell this. Here we go.
And they would buy water, sugar, diapers, and vegetable oil. The reason why vegetable oil, because it's high calories and it would keep you full. But at the same time, they're slowly pretty much doing a lot of harm to them, feeding them vegetable oil. I'm wondering if some of them even know what real food tastes like.
Well, but
Very, very
Hang on.
sad right there.
Let me
Now, when it
stop it.
comes to the
Okay, now you can talk. Go ahead.
okay, so if they were feeding them vegetable oil, they very well could be. However, a body can only live so long without food. If that's all they were consuming, they would be dead. Because, I mean, it is what it is. Your body can only go so long without food. You would starve to death. If vegetable oil isn't going to keep you alive.
Well, but you have to remember this: the babies were getting formula from the pantry. Okay.
Yeah, but say the 13, 12, 11, 10-year-old child, I know they were probably all very malnutritioned, but they
Oh
had
yeah.
to have been eating some kind of food. They had to. For them to still be alive, they would have to be eating something.
Now,
I mean,
here's
we
what
don't
it.
know their physical shape. We don't know how, like that little boy, what was his name, where they were feeding him the
Well,
hot sauce all the
let,
time and
right.
the
7 of them went to
toast.
the hospital. One of them still in
Yeah,
critical. You know.
and what is critical? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what it says though. No, you cannot survive exclusively on vegetable oil While it provides a dense source of calories, it lacks proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. A diet relying solely on it would lead to a rapid malnutrition and eventual organ failures. Okay. So, yeah, now this brings a whole nother set of questions, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So we're going to go back and let fugitive again. I'm serious. Now I've watched some of his other things, just not just these children, but some other things, and I like his content. But anyway, here we go.
The home they lived in. They didn't own the home. They were actually renting the home. And the people they were renting the home from, the lady who originally owned the home, she owned it under a trust. She owns multiple properties, guys, probably like 12 or 15 properties, all right? And she passed away. And because she owned it from a trust, that trust now is taken over by her family. And then allegedly what the siders would do, they would drop the money or the rent off in some sort of a drop box. So the landlords never went to the home, and they never did anything like that. So they would drop the money off in the drop box, and I guess they would do that all the time. And since they were getting paid, the landlord really had no reason to go to the home and go knocking on the door. Because I know I was reading some articles, some people saying, why was the landlord never though? Well, if you paying your rent, there's no sense for the landlord to even show up and bother you, right?
That's right.
Unless you're complaining about something in the house, then they might come over. But besides that, they're really not showing up to bug you as long as you're paying your rent, especially when they own these many properties. Like I said, they own a lot of properties. It's not just one or two. So it makes sense why the landlord probably was not there. Now, back to the victim. Some people are saying that Elizabeth is a victim because she was 15 when she got with Gary. Now, I read reports online from some of Elizabeth's family members that she used to sneak out the house to go be with him back when she was younger. A lot of people will sneak out the house when they're young. I've snuck out the house a couple times. You guys watching this video, everybody's probably snuck out the house at least once in their life. Okay,
that's right.
We've all done it around that age. Does any of this make her a victim though? That is the tough part. Because was he controlling her? Now, some people have seen a bruise around her wrist during their arraignment. Could the bruise be from Gary or somebody in the house? Or could the bruise be from the...
Actually, where I saw the bruising was up just past her elbow. I saw it looks like a big bruise, like somebody had grabbed her by the arm, right? Like she'd been manhandled by the arm. That is what I noticed. And I know there were other people saying, well, it looked like she may have had marks on her neck. I don't know. I mean, the picture was kind of a poor quality picture. So I don't really know if she did or did not. But we can always go look. But anyway.
Have they said what, how far she went in school?
No. But that's a good question. We don't know how far either one of them went in school. I would think that if she's getting married at 15, she was not going to school. She's getting pregnant at 13 and 14, she's not going to school. Right.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah. So she's okay. So we've got a person that's basically, I'm probably illiterate, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
She's married to somebody that's equal. I mean, I don't even know if this guy works. We don't know if they're just living off the Social Security that maybe grandpa and grandma have. I mean, had they done this the right way and registered these children with the authorities, they would have had money to take care of these children with because our tax dollars would have been paying for it. But I don't know why would, see what's not making sense here? See, it makes no sense. Anyway, here we go.
Handcuffs when she got arrested. It is very possible because if you look at her skin, she is very fair
Very
skin.
pale.
So handcuffs around her wrist probably could bruise easy if they have them on tight, especially if she's never been in cuffs before. So we don't know exactly. The real victim knows is those kids. I'm sorry. You got 1 year old to 18 years old, though they're the real victim. Now, like I said, we don't know how the household was. We don't know exactly what was going on in there. Could Gary been holding everybody hostage? Possibly.
Okay, but
could he
wait
have been
a minute.
abusing everybody?
We just understood from the other family members that the person running the family was the grandma. That's the person running the family, not Gary Jr., not Elizabeth, and not Gary Sr. It was the old lady. Remember? That's what we were told. Here we go.
Buying a house? Possibly. We don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if reports came out And it said the incident, him exposing himself, was to his own offspring. I would not be shocked at that. Okay. I wouldn't. And I'm wondering if any of that type of behavior activity was going on in that house. Have you guys watched Game of Thrones?
Yes.
For you guys that haven't watched Game of Thrones, and for you guys that do have watched Game of Thrones, this is probably going to jog memory for you. There is a character in Game of Thrones. The name is Castor. I think that was his name, Castor. He lived in the Wilderlings. Okay, so just to give you a quick, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, okay, Game of Thrones, most of it takes place inside of King's Landing. Pretty much, it's like a big town with different castles. Okay, this is just a quick explanation to make it easy. And then outside of King's Landing, on the other side of the wall, they will call these people the Weirderlings. Like they lived out in the wild. They were untamed. Okay, so this guy Castor lived outside the wall, untamed. Some people ventured out, ran into Castor. Guess who Castor lives with? Castor lives with, I think it was like 19 women. All of the women were his wives. But they weren't only his wives. Guess what else? He was their father. And what he did was anytime he had a boy that was born, he would terminate them.
Okay. This and what he's talking, this is almost, I'm going to skip past what he's talking about right there and just go to the end of his show. But yeah, I do know what he's talking about. But I'm going to tell you something else, and this is just a little history lesson, and I don't know how many other people know this or not. But if you go back to the days, let's talk about the Tudors. Let's talk about them. It was well known that in that society, they married each their cousins, their brothers, sisters, that kind of thing. That also happened in the Egyptian society as well, because they wanted to keep, this is what's strange about it. They wanted to keep royal blood, royal blood. And they had no idea that when they did this, they were going to create babies that could not survive because of all the different problems that you have from double DNA. You know what I'm talking about. The disabilities that it causes from incest, right? So, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the familiar DNA.
Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, so we're going to go past this, but anyway, we'll let him get to the end. But I just wanted to show what he had to say because he had some pretty interesting.
You guys let me know what you think. When it comes to Elizabeth being a victim, do you think she was a victim? Do you think she still is a victim? Do you think she should have known better? Okay. And what kind of charge do you think would have led to the search of the home? Because like I said, that's sealed. They're not telling us that yet. And as far as the grandparents go, one of the lawyers is speaking up for the grandfather, saying that the grandfather didn't know any better. Do you think that could be true? The house was very tiny, but
let me say this. If grandfather has dementia, which when you go back and watch the arraignment and you pay attention closely to the arraignment, you could see that Gary Jr. was kind of directing Gary Sr. what to respond with, and that he was having a hard time hearing. And the judge basically says, do you want me to not guilty and get you an attorney? And he's looking at her, and then the other one shakes his head yes. And so she goes, well, I'll take that as a yes. So the grandfather might be incapable of, he might have dementia. He might not realize what the hell is really going on. I don't know. Anyway, we'll let him keep going here. It's interesting.
Could the grandfather have something mentally going on with him? I mean, his picture, he does look something's going on. He just looks like it. As into where he's not aware of his surroundings. Could be possible. It could be.
It could be.
I didn't see any of these people in the house working. I didn't see any of these people have a job. I didn't see anything. Very, very nasty, very disgusting. And I really don't know what else to say about this, but you guys let me know. How much time should they get? And you know what's sad about this? You know what's really sad? What's going to happen with the children?
Yes.
Well, the 18-year-old's really not a kid anymore. The 18-year-old's an adult. But the 18-year-old, they said, has the mind of a 7-year-old. So what's going to happen with them? They're going to...
I mean, that is the question. What is going to happen with them? Right. Okay. So that is Fugitive TV. And I just wanted to show part of his and let him give his information to us, because I think he's done a really good job on this. And he had information that maybe I didn't hear yesterday, but I did find some of it today. So now we're going to get off of that and we're going to move on to the next thing we want to talk about. Now I'm going to show y'all something, and this is where we're going to get off into misinformation. Because when I saw this pop up over there on TikTok, I'm not going to show the whole thing because, I really can't. But I want you to see that I know this is not from this house. This is how this starts. This is exactly how this kind of crap starts. One person will put some fake damn video out there. Other people start adding to it. And pretty soon, well, that's the story and that's the narrative, right? So let me share my screen right quick. Hang on. Now, I'm only going to show just a minute of it, so you got to pay attention fast, okay? All right, here we go. Share screen. All right, now, this is going to be right here. I've got to pull up TikTok first, and then I've got to go over to, I think it's this one right here. No, that's not that one. Hang on a minute. Oh, Lordy. No, I know where it's at. Hang on. We're not going to pull it up from here. We're going to pull it up from over here. All right, hang on just a second, because I have this right here. I forgot I had it over here. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Let me pull it from right here. It's actually all right. There, it's right here. Let me get this right here. Okay. Now you got to watch carefully. Okay. I'm going to open this file. Hang on, I got to share it. Hang on. I'm going to restart this. Okay. Now you know that's not right. Hang on. Now I'm going to start this over because I want you to hear this. I don't believe this is exactly true. I'm not calling anybody. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody, but this just seems strange. Why and how? How would these children post anything to anywhere? Right? Here we go. Quickly. Here we go, guys. Sorry. Now, I want to ask you a question right there. I'm going to put this back over here. Sprinkle. Did any of those children have Facebook pages?
No. I doubt there's even internet in that home.
That's right. I doubt there is either. I do not believe one bit. I don't believe this is. I don't know where the information came from. I don't know where she got this information from. I don't know. I don't know who this is. But when I saw this, I thought there is no way. What are we doing? These are people who cannot even really communicate.
And those kids were. And I'm sorry, but those kids were clean.
Right.
Those kids in those pictures were clean. The kids that came out of that home were not clean, and their clothes were not clean.
That's right. So that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
Complete misinformation. Let me show about this one. Okay, hold on this one. Now, this one could be real. I'm not sure, but let me share the screen on this one too, guys. Hang on a minute. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to give full credit to who it belongs to and all that. Hang on just a second. It's right here. All right. Let me make sure y'all can see it okay. It's right there. Okay, make sure everybody can see it. Now, okay, let me get this going. Close. I wish I could make it smaller. Why is it so big? Okay, here we go. This is from the news station WBNS. Stop. Now look in here. This is another part I was going to talk to y'all about. You see those boxes right there? That's those same kind of boxes where they were going to the food pantry and getting food. Right there. That's what these boxes are. But we'll keep watching. So this is credit to WBNS 10 TV. So hearing that right there from the TV news station, you tell me how any child had access to Facebook or any other type of social media. Thank you. And it's not, no. This is what I'm talking about, and it makes me upset when people start the damn misinformation about these families.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Hang on a second. Why can't you hear that? Hang on a second. We've had that problem before with TikTok as well. Hang on a second, guys. We might not be able to play it. Sometimes with TikTok we're not able to hear it. But you did hear her talk. Did you hear the lady saying, "Oh, the two of the girls had
No,
Facebook"?
no,
What?
I had previously watched it, so I knew what she was saying. Um, but I didn't hear
Why
it
you
on the
can't? Why
stream
can't
here.
you
No.
hear it? Okay, let me come back over here a minute. Hang on a second. We're going to try this way. I'm going to share the screen. Make sure you're seeing. Okay, so that's that. Let me open this. Let me see if I can go find it over here. Just a second, guys. I've got to find that original first. Look at this right here. Now they're saying this is pictures of that house. I don't know if it is or isn't.
Photos of
Right here.
inside the house.
Now, tell me if you can hear this or not. Right here we go.
House of Horrors, the Cider House, have
Yes.
been released, and they are truly horrific. We also have employees from the local Dollar General speaking out. They said the family frequently came in the store around.
Now, we know that what she's saying is absolutely true, right? Now, I'm going to get off of this one and we're going to go back to this other one because I want to find the one that I'm talking about that actually showed where they're trying to say it was those people because I know it's not. I mean, well, watch this. Watch this one right here. This is from Office Door. Okay, I'm not going to show very much of them because I don't want to get us in trouble. But okay, so that's family pictures, and this is from Officer Dooley. I think it's called Officer Dooley. I don't know where they're getting these pictures from. I don't know who's sharing this information, but anyway, we'll keep going over here. Let me see if I can find. I want to find that other one. Okay, now let me show you this right here. I know this is not. That's not these children. That's not.
This is actually true. At least two of the kids, I think the two oldest girls, they do have social media pages. We have found
that. Did you hear that? Could you hear
Yeah,
that one?
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Yes or no? You could hear it.
Yes, you could hear it. No, they didn't have social media
Okay.
pages.
Thank you. All right. That's what I'm trying to get to because I'm like, that's not even. Those aren't even the same children. Why do people make this stuff up? Why are they involved? Why do they do these to these families? These families. This is what happens. You end up with a damn circus, okay? You just end up with a circus. I'm gonna get off of there. I don't really want to show that stuff, but you just get off on a circus, and I think it's ridiculous. Look at all the other cases that we have had where these children, where there's something going on, it turns into a circus. Then everybody stops covering it because no longer have anything true out there. Have anything from law enforcement. You have only a bunch of speculation, a bunch of rumors, and things like that. And then people won't talk about the case anymore. And that hurts the missing children and that hurts the families of these missing children. So that's the kind of thing that just really, I find it very upsetting. And I don't want that to happen in this case. I want to put a stop to that now. Don't wait till nobody talks about it anymore. All right.
Right.
Now here's another little story that just popped up. Let me see if I can pull this up over here. All right. Now listen. So the son brought the police to his house, knowing the horror they would find. If so, that means somebody in law enforcement had his address and named to issue a warrant. Did he actually give his address or was he followed home? What are they talking about? What are they talking about right there? Somebody else says, I thought he had a theft and receiving stolen property warrant. Yes, I think that is the other parallel investigation that's going on before we had the indecent exposure. So, see, let me go see. And then somebody else says at least half of the majority of them would have passed away by the end of the summer and the rest by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Talking about all these children and the health they were in. Okay, let me pull this up. This was from, let's see, www.w. It's West Ohio. It's some West Ohio news reporting. Let me see what it says here. Hang on. This is pretty recent. This is at 7:11 a.m. This came out this morning. It's talking about this arrest warrant. It's talking about this was issued. Now let me go on down. Let's see what the other part is that they're talking about. If there's anything new that they're telling us. All right. Court records obtained. The warrant lists the 4 people. I mean, the public indecency. It's unclear whether the public identity investigation led investigators to the home. The neighbor, Janet Wilbur, said she was grateful that the children were located. Okay, we know about that, and authorities have not released what caused the search warrant on June 30th, only stating that okay, it's got to be the stolen property. It's got to be stolen property. Did somebody see him stealing property? I don't know. But I just know one thing. This
I just
misinformation
wonder.
has to stop. Yeah.
I wonder if there was some internet crimes connected with this.
Well, see, somebody did say that, oh, there might have been some CSAM. But when I went out and looked for CSAM, I could find no record anywhere that said anything about pictures on a phone or CSAM anywhere. So I
Yeah,
didn't want to put it out there that that was true because I don't know if it's true or not. That is just another thing that was
right.
reported yesterday. Could it be? Absolutely, it could
Yeah,
be. But I mean,
yeah,
I find nothing, right? I will say this. The Siders withdrew into a multi-generational fortress, basically, and was driven by the fundamental ideology of trauma, paranoia about outsiders, okay? This rapid family growth plus economic strain just led them to hiding these kids in one room. It allowed them to control and conceal, and it's escalating into severe neglect until the unrelated warrant was exposed. It exposed them, right? So that's basically what it is. Now, I don't know,
yeah.
but I'm just gonna have to stand on. I believe we're gonna find that Elizabeth is a victim to an extent, because if she did not have a cell phone to contact her family, if Gary's the one talking to her family, she's not talking to her family, then how could she get help? If she can't drive, they're taking her to the store because Gary's always with her. She's not driving anywhere. I don't even think she has a driver's license. I don't know that to be a fact, but it seems like they would only go to the store right before closing time. Okay, that's because somebody had to drive her to that store in order for her to buy whatever it is she was going to buy. So I don't think she could drive. I
Yeah.
just think I think that we're going to find that there is something about her situation, and that she became so traumatized that she couldn't do anything about it.
It makes me wonder, like, I wonder when the last time those kids slept in a bed. Wonder when those
Right.
last times those kids slept in a clean bed
That's
or
right.
anything other than the floor or stand up or the last time they showered. Like the Turpins, it came out
Oh
that they
my.
hadn't had a shower in a year. Was there running water in the home? Was there a refrigerator in the home? Were there beds in the home? I mean, we know the condition of it. I rather doubt there is, but my mama heart just makes me go there. Like, when's the last time they had a clean pair of underwear on?
That's
It just
yeah.
it's heart wrenching. It's just heart wrenching.
Let me see if there's something. There was another story that popped up over here. I'm trying to find it right now. Shit. And I want to read it. It is the one that where her brother was talking, and he was talking to somebody else, and they actually, oh, maybe it's right here. Oh, here it is. I think it's right here. Hang on. Yay. All right. I think it's right here. Okay. Hang on just a second, guys. We'll just talk amongst yourselves for a second here. Okay. I'm going to have to go back over here. I think it's let's see, WSYXABC. That is the story that we're going to pull up. I think it's right here, actually. Let's see. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm gonna share this screen with you in just a second. We'll just talk about something for a minute. But when you look at abused women and what their life is like, and then you look at her, you're going, oh my God. The picture's just coming together that I think that's what we're gonna find. ABC. Here
Yeah.
we go. All right, let me see. Now, let me go here, back over here to our Ohio children, to the Cora, 16 kids. All right, hang on just a second. We'll pull this back up. All right, let's see.
And the sad part about it is, I mean, we learned this from the Turpins, even if they go into the foster care system, the foster care
Yeah,
system can be just as abusive, not maybe to that extent, But abuse exists in the foster care system too. Look at how so many of those Turpin children were abused when they went into the system. It's like it's not going to end for these kids.
Right.
And
You're
all
right
these
about that.
and all these kids know is each other, and then they're going to be ripped apart. Nobody's going to take 16 children, you know. These kids are
That's the
going to be
next part.
they're going to be ripped apart, and I mean it just the net of just trauma just gets wider and wider and wider. It's heartbreaking.
I mean, in their condition now, they can't go to any foster home. They
No,
cannot.
no,
There's no
no.
place that they could they can't go anywhere. So this, you know,
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
if there's seven in the hospital, one is critical. So that leaves nine. So where's those nine gonna go?
I don't know, but see, I know they're not going to release. Okay, so let's talk about Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth did open up, and the only thing when she was being talked to from her attorney was, "Where are my children? What about my children? How are my children?" She's asking about her children. Everybody else is asking about bond and can I get out of here?
Yeah,
Think about that scenario. I mean,
yeah.
I think she does love her children. I think that she was. I just can't help it. I could be totally wrong. I hope I'm not, but I could be totally wrong in the fact that I think that we're going to find that she was trapped there.
Yeah.
She was beaten. She looked beat
And
down. She looked like she had no way to speak her own mind. That she
and
was
where are you
just
gonna
li-
go with six and where are
yeah,
you gonna go with 16 children when you don't drive, you don't have a car, you don't have a job? What are you gonna
right,
do?
right.
You have no options. I mean, you literally have no options.
Where is this damn thing? I also want to know about. Okay, let me look at this right quick. Now I've shared my screen over here. Social media draws comparisons to the notorious Fritzl matter. Remember the Fritzl situation? As more details have
I
emerged, social media users have drawn comparisons to a notorious European captivity case involving an Australian man, Joseph Fritzl, who imprisoned his daughter for 24 years and fathered 7 children with her inside a concealed underground space. While there is currently no suggestion the Ohio case involves the same type of offenses, some onlines have pointed to similarities involving prolonged isolation and children allegedly being hidden from the outside world. One person wrote on X, "What's scary is that most people don't know their own neighbors. There was a case like this in Austria a while ago, and it was so sad that prayers for these kids, only God's strength can help them through this. The survivors are living quietly. Recovery takes years. Their privacy is being respected and protected, and that has to happen here." Right? And I agree with that. It does have to happen here. Because, I mean, we don't want anybody to know 10 years from now that, JS was one of those children. I hope they are given what they need. I hope their names are changed, and I hope they never see these people again. Not to be mean to
yeah.
Elizabeth, but because I don't think that she could have physically protected them. I just don't think she could. I just think it was just so bad that she could not. So the only other story that I can't find right this minute that I wanted to talk about was when her brother started talking. And I know it was on Facebook. So let me pull this up over here, and then we're going to get ready to go. We'll move it on an hour and 48 minutes. But I just wanted to talk about this a little bit today, and the misinformation and how it starts, and then what's going to happen in this case if people don't stop the misinformation right now. Just stop it. You're not ever, because the case is going to be sealed, we're not going to get any more information about the how and why. We're not going to know where these kids are going to go, and we're not going to know how they're doing. We're not going to know anything until at some point there is a trial way down the road. It's a long way from that happening. It's a long way,
Yeah.
you know. So I just hang on. Let me pull this back. I think it's right here. Y'all just give me just a second. I want to read this because what he said is facts because it's what he said. It's right here in black and white, and that's why I want to tell what he said, not what somebody said he said. Right? What's her name? Okay, side. Okay, hang on just a second. All right, let me pull this up here. Let's see. Okay. No, damn it. I might have to go to Facebook, and you know I don't do Facebook. I just can't stand
I know
Facebook.
you don't.
I know.
I know.
Okay, Gary Sider's family. Let's just do it this way. We'll do it this way. I'll just say Gary Sider's family speaks and see what comes up. There we go. I think that'll work. Let's see. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Oh, here we go. One relative who did speak publicly is a person named Tessie Siders, who told reporters she was shocked by the allegations. Now, Tessie Siders is a direct relative of Gary Sr., Jr., and the mom. She says she hadn't seen Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders in years. She remembered relatives describing them as wonderful parents when their own children were young. She said she was crazy, shocked by the allegations, and had never met Gary Jr. and Elizabeth's children. Tessie, why not? Where you been, Tessie? I guess families do just, drift apart. I guess you have to think about it like that. So she goes,
Yeah.
let's see. It's been a decade since Tessie Siders last saw Gary Siders Sr. and his wife. I think that is going to be Gary Sr.'s sister. That's what I think. So she was completely blindsided when she learned of their arrest along with her youngest child and daughter-in-law. Okay, let's see. What else is down here? Gary Siders too. Oh, listen to this. He did have a job. So Gary Siders too was working as a DoorDash delivery driver, an attorney for his wife and mother. He was. So Gary Jr. was working DoorDashing. So he had a little job. Okay. Tessie, whose late husband was. Oh, wait a minute. I got it wrong. Tessie's, whose late husband was related to the Siders, recalled the praise that other relatives had for Siders Sr., who was 73, and Christina, who was 66, remembering them as wonderful people. As far as I know, the family talks about Lynn and Gary like everybody says they were wonderful parents when everybody else was little. But this is from years ago, right? Tessie told the U.S. Sun, saying that the relatives referred to Christina as Lynn. So when you hear the word Lynn Siders, that's actually Christina. So when the news broke of the Siders family's arrest, Tessie was shocked, but even more horrified by the allegations and the conditions that these children lived in. She says it's crazy, it's unbelievable. Now, Tessie told the U.S. Sun that she last spoke to the Siders around 2018 when she sold them a car. This is 2026, and you are somehow related to these people? We didn't really keep up with them. My husband went through cancer, so that was our focus that she added. At that time, Tessie said that she was aware that Gary Siders Jr., who was 36, and his wife Elizabeth Siders were parents. When asked if all 16 children found inside the disheveled home in Hamden, Ohio on Tuesday were the young couples, Tessie couldn't say definitely, but was pretty sure. So she didn't really even know. I wouldn't swear to it, but I'm sure it's little Gary and his girlfriend, Tessie said. I know they had some, but I never met the children. Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson was aghast when he was explaining the conditions of this home. About 80 miles southeast of the Columbus, describing it's one of the worst environments that he has seen in his entire career. What we saw down here today is, well, we heard that. It really looked like third world. It's the type of thing that we're not used to seeing here in America. It's almost indescribable, he says. Now, Gary Siders Sr., let's take a look over here. What else did you say? Benton County Sheriff Ryan Kane says authorities discovered, we know that, this inhumane conditions while executing the search warrant. We know that. We didn't know that there were going to be 16 kids there. We know that. I'm just trying to move past things we already know. Investigators said some of the children were unable to speak at all, and the eldest, described as an 18-year-old female, was described as developmentally disabled and could not even write her name. Well, I don't think any of them could write because they never went to school. How could they write? And I don't think that their mother was capable of teaching them anything. The living conditions inside that property were described as something out of a horror film. The children were found, we know where they were found, with a high presence of human waste and excrement. Investigators believe the children were kept in this cramped space for most of the last 4 years because that's how long they lived in this house. The conditions in the house were so decrepit that the children were literally about to fall through the floor, Wilson said. I'm pretty sure because it's water. You got feces and ink and all these things just sitting on this floor, rotting it.
Oh yeah.
Because the
Yeah, that
ammonia
stuff
and
will
the
just
acid.
rot. It'll just rot right through everything.
Sure will. Items including a high chair, tires, food, and insect killer were visible inside the dilapidated property. A pile in the yard was filled with plastic play tables, a beach pail, and two infant carriers. Wilson, the Attorney General, said no one outside of the four relatives knew about the children who weren't enrolled in school. Now, see, we know that's not exactly true, but okay. Anyway, they looked almost like feral animals. It was terrible. Wilson, the Attorney General, added, investigators said the Siders family bounced around a lot, only recently moved to Hamden. 4 years is not recent, people. That's not
No,
recent,
it's not.
okay?
Mm-mm.
Locals said they'd never seen the children in the time that the Siders resided in the neighborhood. Well, no, the neighbors didn't. The next one says, right under our noses, and nobody was able to help them sooner. This is the neighbor, Emily Collins, who was 27, told the Associated Press. Now, Joseph Stewart, who lives a few homes away from the Sliders, described the situation as sad and called the neighborhood quiet. It's just crazy with all the wonderful things going on in our little Hallmark town, and this is what puts us on the radar. It's really sad. Authorities have not identified the parents of the children. Well, they don't know they don't know if all those children are really I don't know. God dang it. However, Thomas Stoley, which is Elizabeth's attorney, identified his client as their mother. Now, Stoley told the outlet that Elizabeth married Gary when she was 15. We know that. The attorney said his client was devastated, crying and exhausted when he met her on Thursday. In fact, my client first question to me was when I walked in her jail cell and introduced myself was about her kids. She asked if her children were okay. She asked if I knew where they were, and she asked when would she be able to see them again. I thought it was just telling that her first concern was not when can I get out, but how are my children? Now Stroley said Elizabeth told him that all the children were born in. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so see, part of the story is not real. Something's wrong here. Stoley said Elizabeth told him that all the children were born in area hospitals and she considers herself a full-time mom. There are birth records of these children. Where is the disconnect? Elizabeth left high school after the 11th grade, and the attorney confirmed, adding that Gary, too, was working as a DoorDash delivery driver and looking for another job. See, this is new
Yeah, but you're
information
not.
right here.
But you're not 15 in 11th grade.
No, you're not. Was she doing some homeschooling, too? Was she doing
Yeah,
some,
you're 15 is not 11th grade. And if she had the baby at 13, that
Yeah.
would be more like 8th grade.
So something's wrong with that story.
7th grade. 7th grade.
Now, while the headlines may be sensational, there's a real human component to this, and so I would ask people to give this process time to play out. Now, Dorian Baum, the attorney for the Siders seniors, urged the public to let the case play out before passing any judgment. We ask the community at large, as well as anyone who might have interest in this case, to take a deep breath, step back, and let the case play out and the facts play out, Baum says. Siders seniors, Christina Siders and Elizabeth were each charged, we know that. They have all pled not guilty and are being held on $300,000 bond. Now, let me see. Now, that is new information. I had no idea. Okay, so there are birth certificates. Folks, there are birth certificates to these children. Somewhere, people knew about these children. What happened and why were they not tracked? They have birth certificates. How many were born in Ohio? How many were born in a different state? They have social security numbers. If they have birth certificates and they're born in hospitals, they're going to have social security numbers. Do you think that she might have lied to her attorney right then? We don't know. We're not going to know that, but again, because the records are sealed. So there you go. There's some new information to talk about. We don't know. I can't see her lying to her attorney when she knows that she is facing many, many years in jail, unless she's just not able to. I don't know, girl. I don't know. There's something weird there too. Now I feel like I've got to get on this little side trail over here and figure out. Okay, well, if they were all born in area hospitals, there are birth certificates out there. Then there are people who know about these kids. They're not just off the record. They are on the record somewhere.
Why aren't the doctors following up and wondering why they're not coming in for their immunizations, their well baby checks, all of that?
And here's the question. Well, I mean, do you just have the baby and they send you home and you never hear from the hospital again? Well, they've got to be on Medicaid. They have to be on Medicaid. Who paid for them to be born?
Exactly.
I mean, think about that. So this, we can get on a little side trail here. I mean, well, we can't because we're not going to be able to. But yes, there is so much information that has not come out and it's not going to come out. But there you go. There's a new information for you. So I just wanted to come and talk about that today. So now we know, based on what she said, it is also misinformation for us to say there is no record of these children being born anywhere, because that is not what their mother said. She says they were born in area hospitals. There you go. Okay. With that, I think we're going to get ready to call it a night. It's been 2 hours, and I only wanted to be on about an hour. But there you go. That is the latest and the greatest on this case. And I don't know that I'm going to talk about it anymore, because really there's going to be nothing new coming out, because again, the records are sealed. What else can we find out, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, the family has spoken. Nobody in that family is going to take any responsibility for knowing that those children were living in that condition. Nobody is. But I'm still going to stand by and say that I believe we're going to find Elizabeth has some part of being a victim as well as a perpetrator. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good to see you, Sprinkle. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We do need to, we are going to do our Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Casey Anthony comparison, because they may not have the same exact crime, but they are the exact same people. They are in the middle of rebranding themselves, trying to come back in. I think that Casey Anthony has saw exactly what Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the heathen, did, and she's trying to repeat that same behavior. I think she is. I mean, you know, what do we call it? 2 books, 2 lies, 1 truth. Y'all get ready to watch that,
Right.
because it's coming out soon. Anyway. So with that, go ahead and take this on out. Sprinkle.
All right. And don't forget to hug your babies.
That's right. You know, we talk about this every time we come on, we say it. Because life is short. Our time with them's even shorter. With that, I'm going to say, go take care of yourself. Enjoy your 4th of July. Go do some fireworks. Have fun. See you guys later. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Right. Good night,
Oh,
everybody.
and hit that like button and share and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
I always forget.